started here. We got for those of you who don't know me, my name is Edward Chronicler. Testing. Can you guys hear?
Yes.
Okay. My apologies. Where exactly did you guys begin to hear what I was speaking?
You said, "Hi, my name is Edward," and then it cut out.
Okay. Can anyone hear this?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start again. Hello, everyone. My name is Edward Trosclair. I'm the founder of Sidechain Solutions, a Lisk focused sidechain development and research organization. We're also community managers, and we try to do what we can to keep the community going. So we're happy to be here with you today. If you have any questions, you can type them in the text chat here, and I will be glad to answer them as I can. In regards to Sidechain Solutions, I would like to announce maybe direct you guys to some links afterwards. Okay, so did you guys get the first sections here? Or should we start from the beginning again?
You pretty much said I like to announce, and that was the last I heard of you.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. My name is Edward Trosclair. I'm the founder of Sidechain Solutions. I'm also the Stellardynamic delegate. If you have any questions, you can type them in the little chat and I'll try to get to them as I can. Briefly about Sidechain Solutions. We're a sidechain development and research organization that also engages in community management. And we intend to host hackathons sometime in the near future. I know that the pandemic has sort of put a bit of a strain on those type of plans, but we intend to move forward anyway as soon as it's safe. Starting with Sidechain Solutions, we have a significant amount of interesting notes and news to share with you. We have a new team member, Davy Alves. He's worked with us since October of 2019, doing security research mostly. And he actually published a paper, a scientific research paper that included some of the collaborative research on Lisk. And so he has introduced Lisk to the scientific community in Brazil. And I believe that's actually also a global organization that he submitted his paper to. And so we also awarded him a scholarship recently because he's been inspired and decided to develop a Lisk proof of concept that he called Lisk restaurant. So you guys hear part of Lisk EFC and Project X? All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and continue from there. So we also are currently maintaining several scripts that monitor the conditions of the Lisk network so that if something changes and if we become under some sort of saturation attack like we have in the past, or if we have some sort of net code that begins to multiply endlessly, then we can, number one, understand the state of the network from the beginning. And number two, whitelist our good, friendly nodes. And so we're maintaining those scripts, and if we ever need to release that information, we'll make it available to all the delegates. Recently, the ARC blockchain became under attack because of the way that they're developed. And long story short, basically, someone sent a payload of very nefarious data, or it was just a link actually to their chain, and then they were able to tell the virtual private server providers that that link was available on their servers through the WebSockets port. So a solution for us in that case would be to just close the WebSockets port, but unfortunately with Arc they cannot do that. So that's the majority of the security research. We're also going to be stress testing 3.0 and 4.0 very soon. We have two different type of sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure. I think it's because I'm on the West Coast in the U.S. and everyone, and this is a site that's in Europe, so maybe that's the issue. But anyway, so does anybody have any questions about the security research? Okay, great. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to Chronicler. So with Chronicler, we have been sort of mulling over a bit of a moral dilemma, and basically the Arc attack sort of solidified that in our minds just recently. And so basically, because Chronicler is a distributed storage mechanism, it has some moral overhead. In other words, someone could upload something illegal to it, and then the nodes hosting it would have responsibility. And like I said, the Arc attack recently sort of brought that, confirmed that for us. So we're going to pivot a bit with the Chronicler idea, and instead we're going to develop it into a tool, so to speak, for people to make their own small distributed file storage networks. so that there won't be one central chronicler network, but we'll make it to where you can deploy your own distributed storage trust among any size delegate group you'd like. Right now, okay, we'll go over the security research part again just after this. I'm just going to finish up with Chronicler. Thank you for that comment. So yeah, we're going to try to mitigate the responsibility there with the Chronicler project by kind of changing the direction and making it more of a modular tool that people can then connect their own Chronicler networks to the Lisk network, and there won't be a centralized Chronicler network. We also just released the front end code. You can find it on GitHub now on our Sidechain Solutions GitHub. That was not available previously, just the node code was available. And also, too, we do have some additional features that we're going to add to it, but those depend on compatibility with Moracle, which we see a lot of progress being made on, and we're in close contact with Jackson. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back into the security research part real quick. So last year, we discovered that delegate nodes could forge with the WebSockets port closed, and that mitigates the direct attacks through that port that ARC has recently seen. Their net code is not, it's not possible for them to disable the WebSockets port on their forging nodes, and so they're having an interesting problem that they're dealing with. Let's see here. Okay, so we also developed Lisk DFC last year, which is a node management tool, and it allows you to have a set of servers that will switch the IPs each time, so that way you're not going to forge from the same IP every block, and makes it much more difficult to directly target you. We also have a component of that called Project X that we have not released yet, but it makes the Lisk DFC even much more powerful. It allows basically the automated creation and deletion of new virtual private servers from various providers, and that one is really a very powerful tool, but it's so excessive that we haven't released it to the public yet. Stress testing and research on the new versions is going to begin soon, because we have a relatively robust set of transaction stress testing tools, from votes to multi-signature and also the type 0. And we're going to also look into doing things with custom transactions as well in regards to stress testing. We're also maintaining a set of scripts that I wrote that allow us to see historical views of the Lisk network. So if something dramatic changes, or if someone tries to saturate the network with hundreds of or thousands of fake nodes, we'll be able to see the states that the network was in, and also whitelist our friendly good nodes and leave the others out. So let's see here. Okay, so basically that's the majority of the security research stuff. And I did already talk about Chronicler. I'd also like to mention to you guys Lisk Inviter, our original custom transaction proof of concept that has a full write-up on it on our website, sidechainsolutions.io. And that one is a really great educational piece. You can share it and to new developers. I've gotten a number of compliments on that one, in regards to how it helped expand the understanding of many of our newer developers. Um, those two things were also what helped us be awarded the Lisk Builders Award from Lisk HQ. And this is a very important program that Lisk HQ is running right now. And you can apply at lisk.io. And if you have a interesting proof of concept, you might be able to be awarded 2,500 Lisk. There's also a program from GDT, a group within the Lisk ecosystem, and they also have an award, so you can apply to them as well. So it's interesting to see now this new format, because Sidechain Solutions has been looking into doing hackathons for quite some time, and now with the pandemic and all that, we're not sure if we're going to be doing them in person or if we're going to have one online, but we'd like to get some feedback, and also we'd like to hear any ideas about how we could perform hackathons remotely and, you know, make them interesting and also attract some outsiders. Let's see here. All right. So we also have a new project that we're working on. It's still in the research phase, hasn't reached development yet, but it is the project that we're now going to take to market as an actual product as opposed to Chronicler. We're going to release Chronicler as a tool. Sorry about that, guys. We're gonna go ahead and turn this into more of a discussion because I seem to be having just too much audio problems. Anybody hear me? Hello? All right. I think we're just going to go ahead and turn this more into a discussion at this point because the audio seems to keep cutting out. I believe I got most of the points that I was trying to make out. I don't know exactly what you guys missed. I'm going to make available a post presentation or a group of links and resources after the presentation. And I apologize for the technical difficulties. I think being on the West Coast in the US, in California, and the site being in, I guess, Europe is causing significant issues. But I'll just briefly ask. Let's see. So, what do you guys think about the concept with Chronicler? Were you guys able to hear the pivot that we're making with Chronicler? You are all welcome to speak, by the way, now. Well, essentially, with Chronicler, like I All right. You guys are welcome to turn on your microphone and speak if you'd also like. We're going to go ahead and turn this into more of a true meetup style. Welcome, Jim. You can you guys hear well here or no? Everyone's welcome to turn on their microphone. Can you guys hear? Okay, great. Yeah, I think the difficulty there is I'm in California and that website I believe is in the Netherlands or something like that. So it's actually probably traveling the entire distance across the US and then to Europe as opposed to either the other way. So I'm not really sure what you guys did and didn't hear, but I think we're just gonna go ahead and open this one up to a more community discussion. Um, so if anyone else has any thoughts or comments on what you did hear, let's go ahead and get to those now. Sure. Um, Thanks, Dad, for asking the question. Um, so just to reiterate a bit, um, Davy and I have been researching and looking at things collaboratively since October of last year. And basically, we now added him to our team because he's been very diligent in the community. And I'm really happy to see that you're here, Jim, because you can help bolster our presentation here and our understanding. But essentially, what's going on now is we are retooling our um, stress testing tools for transactions that will begin to unleash on the networks as they become more robust. Currently, the 3.0 beta net is not a great representation of a 101 delegate network because I believe a majority of the networks, a majority of the nodes are running on just one server. Um, and then there are also the individual delegate nodes and the operators. But that will begin as, like I said, the network becomes more robust. Jim, do you have any thoughts on the? I see you made a comment above. You said yes, it's possible. Was that in regards to the WebSockets port? Oh no, that wasn't what I was asking. I was well, I'm glad to hear that that's been repaired. Excellent. Uh, and I can only assume who submitted the report. For me, the Lisk network is the opportunity. Um, I wanted to get into sort of decentralized governance when. Okay, I'll go ahead and repeat the question real quick here, and then I'll answer it. So the question is, what made you choose the Lisk network? Well, for me, it was the opportunity to participate in decentralized governance. I knew that blockchain would be able to support that one day. And as the Lisk project began to go live and all of that, I saw a major opportunity there because, frankly, all the excitement was around Ethereum, and Lisk needed interested parties to begin building. And so I took up that opportunity, and I think that now that things have unfolded, you can see that some of the greatest opportunities are in the Lisk community. We have a number of bounty and reward programs, including one from HQ directly, the Lisk Builders Program. That's a great question, by the way. Thank you, Peter. Um, the network itself, I think we're all chomping at the bit for the interoperability, uh, proper fee management, which is in the next versions already. That's obviously really important. Um, we need even more grassroots supporters and nodes and contributors. And in regards to technical components, we're going to see. I'm not sure exactly how the Lisk network is going to scale, whether we're going to need higher hardware requirements, such as EOS, where basically you can, rent your facilities and whatnot. So we're gonna have to see what's what's next. But I would say that the main thing that we're missing now is just the fresh blood, the contributors. The SDK is not quite there yet, and so it's really we can really just build toys at this point. I do. And the reason is because, or also, I'll read the question. Do you think that Lisk will stand out among other DLT programs and platforms? And I do think it will. Number one, because we have already become the upstream of several other blockchains. And so that, we're an original code base. And so that in and of itself has merit. And beyond that, our approach to scaling is uh, very uh, robust, I would say, because once you can actually interoperate a chain to a chain, then you can scale almost infinitely. Because if you need more scaling space, you can just interoperate an additional chain. Um, And so I think for that and the fact that Lisk has managed their funding well, bodes well on them. So from a less technical side, people will see that Lisk is, um, still developing at a high rate of speed and also still has the funding. I think that's an encouraging thing. And once we get our interoperability, I think the network will speak for itself because uh, the way that Lisk is made is very, very intuitive. So we've been working very hard on the Lisk community in the United States. As of very recent, we haven't hosted a meetup in months because of the um, pandemic. But in 2019, 2018, and 2017, I think we hosted something like 30 meetups in Miami, uh, Boulder, Colorado. Uh, let's see, University of Madison, Wisconsin, New Orleans, Louisiana, um, Berkeley University in California, Houston, Austin. And we've done numerous meetups in some of those communities. Miami is our biggest. There's also been meetups in Seattle and New York that were not hosted by us. The community is growing, but there are only, I think, two delegates, me and Tony, that are from the U.S. Unless I'm forgetting somebody. Oh no, I'm sorry. There are some others, but they don't represent. They don't seem to uh, sort of tote the Lisk flag over here as much. You're welcome. Thank you, Peter. You asked some excellent questions. So, in regards to coming to Europe or the Netherlands, I'll just say this: I love the Netherlands. It was amazing. I did go to the List.js event last year, and I had an excellent time. Um, Lemmy and Corbin hosted me while I was there in the Netherlands, and we also went to uh, the LCU, which was really awesome. I would love to come to a Lisk event this year in Berlin, and I would of course stop in the Netherlands because that's actually the cheapest way to get to Germany from the United States is to fly to the Netherlands and then fly elsewhere. So the answer is yes. It's just about when. Will do. So the Thanks for the question, Davi. So the topic in regards to the meetups in the USA and the subjects that we discuss and challenges and whatnot, we have very diverse group of people that come to the meetups. Um, we have your casual investors. We have people who are trying to escape capital controls. I know our Miami meetup, we have a lot of at our Miami meetup, we have a lot of people who come from Venezuela in order to learn more about cryptocurrency because they're trying to get their money out of Venezuela. And that's just one example, but we've heard that story quite a bit. People come from, believe it or not, people come from other countries and show up at our meetups. Um, We also have the more, well, actually, I'll go another category of people we have are the dissenters. A few times EOS people have showed up and we schooled them to death. But uh, and then there, of course, there's the people who are genuinely interested in development and solving the technical challenges. And with that, that's where we truly shine because that's what Sidechain Solutions is designed to do. And of course, we've grown in our ability to present, and the information that we have is more advanced as we've gone on. Oh, and just to say, our largest community currently is in Seattle, where there's Microsoft and Amazon. Our second largest is in Miami, and both of those communities, I believe, have over 500 members on Meetup at this point, or somewhere around that. So those are starting to really yield some positive results, and we hope that we can get back to those as soon as possible. Yes, of course. It's for sure an investment. I've spent the past 3 years or so adding value to the platform as much as I can, and so I do see it as an investment, and I think it's a really interesting investment because with a standard investment, it's difficult to add value to it. Like, if I just bought Amazon stock today, like no matter how many products I buy from Amazon, I'm probably not going to make their stock go up. But with Lisk, we're at the point where we can make an effect on the network, and it's really compelling. And so, yeah, I do see it as an investment, but I also, but the technology is what drew me in. Let's see, Jim. What about in regards to security research? Is there anything interesting going on that we can talk about? Yeah, you're welcome to use your microphone if you'd like. Anyone. Also, is there any does anyone have any interesting ideas in regards to the future production of hackathons, possibly on the online format? After Jim answers his question here, if anybody has any comments or statements about that, maybe we can discuss that. Um, I think. Okay, let's see what Jim has to say here. thank you for the compliment about DFC. And of course, all of your excellent work. We're really proud that you entered the delegation, Jim, because it means that our network is working, or excuse me, our community is working properly. Um, Obviously, you know, probably one of the few things we were missing was a hardened security researcher. Um, and obviously, I've done what I can to um, research and find defenses, but we really need someone who can perform those dirty offensive tactics that only someone like Jim can do. um, so I'm also glad to hear that the List network is doing better. Between your destruction and my destruction of testnet, yeah, it's like a walking corpse. Yeah, good times. Um, we want to also stress test BetaNet, but I feel that we're gonna get the same results as those attacks on testnet because very few people have redundancy or anything of that nature set up on their BetaNet nodes. I'd imagine. I mean, they might have like a re-enable forging script, but I doubt very many people have multiple nodes behind their BetaNet. And also I think there's not even a majority of actual real individual delegates. So I wish that there was greater participation in BetaNet. Indeed, it is a social issue, and we just don't have enough participants. Um, and maybe in the short term, I know HQ used to run tons of Genesis nodes that I think were all individual servers, but maybe that's not true. I'm not sure. But now I'm pretty sure that they're just running the majority of their Genesis nodes on just one server. So yeah, it doesn't give us the greatest outlook. But one thing that we have begun to look into is changing the size of the network in terms of delegates and the throughput results there. Obviously, the smaller amount of nodes in the network, the less time it will take for things to propagate all the way across the network. With the Lisk block time being 10 seconds, that's about how much time it takes for everyone to reach the block each time in order to be able to have that in time to forge. But I'm assuming that can improve. Jim, doesn't is ARC's 51 delegates with 7 seconds, right? Or something like that? Okay. And they're able to do the 8 seconds because of the smaller delegation size. That was a question. But this is one of the things that we're going to start to test to see. Oh, okay. They don't have the so Arc's still a full mesh. Okay. Um, that's interesting. Okay. Well, yeah. Obviously, Arc and Lisk have diverged quite a bit now in terms of the net code and all that. So that's interesting to see that, and also it's good. Uh, is that a real question, Lemmy? we're talking to like the lead security researcher at Arc and Jim and Lisk, and so I mean, put two and two together. Let me. But the reason there is because it's now that we have diverged, we can see what works and what doesn't, and both communities can take the good and leave the bad. Um, I don't think that the animosity is warranted anymore. So uh, here we are. Also, Lemmy, you're welcome to add to the discussion as you are in fact a Sidechain Solutions team member. Um, and of course, obviously, if you want to use your microphone, you're welcome to do that too. That's actually interesting, Davy, that you found out about it that way. And that is the type of that's the way it happens. There even with the other projects that are downstream of our code base, um, you may find Jim. I love the Arc book, bro. Man, that's old school though. Yeah, man. Um, so let me let's see. What about your new manager? What's the latest status on that? Also, while I have a second, I'd just like to give a shout out to Lemmy. He's been an absolute stud for Sidechain Solutions, and he's earned every penny that he's gotten from us, and has done some of the most fantastic work that I've ever seen. So I'm really happy that he decided to work with us, and we really have a really fantastic team. Everyone's doing a really great job. Oh, excellent. So you just released a new version, Lemmy. That's nice. And you got system statistics, load averages, memory usage, CPU usages. Nice. And the list daemon. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions about Chronicler? I know we talked about it earlier. I'm not sure if everybody caught the information that the updates on that. But I'll just go ahead and reiterate quickly. We just made available the front end code that Lemmy developed, and so you can all go take a look at that on our GitHub, Sidechain Solutions, on GitHub, and also too that we're actually pivoting the design of Chronicler to instead be a tool to launch your own custom parameterized distributed storage networks that can be interoperable with Lisk, so that there's no moral overhead for us launching it, because we don't want people to just store really nefarious stuff on our network. So we're instead going to make it to where you can launch your own Chronicler network by basically pressing a button and setting the amount of delegates, and then you can distribute the trust and storage among a small group. And then if you'd like to, you can interoperate that with Lisk or another Lisk compatible chain or another Chronicler chain. Yeah, definitely. The audience in the United States, like I said, is very diverse, and we even get a lot of interested parties from other countries who are trying to use cryptocurrencies in various ways. I think the power of decentralization is starting to resonate around the world, especially to groups that are oppressed, and a lot of people have expressed some very serious situations that they're in to us about like I'll tell you one story. We have a gentleman that comes to our Miami meetups, and he's from Venezuela, and he basically told me that if you can the Venezuelan dollars, Venezuelan money is being constantly hyperinflated, and so a lot of people there try to keep the U.S. dollar cash, but the police will come to your house and extort you or take you to jail for having it, or just steal it from you. And so cryptocurrency has become, a bridge or an avenue for some of these people. And so some of their best and brightest are traveling over to talk to us and discuss in a free, um, more of a free ecosystem where they can openly discuss these ideas without being, you know, possibly put in jail or worse. But also, just on the lighter and happier side, we also get tons of people who, they bought before the last run up, and they're really happy that they made a bunch of money. Or, we have some people who genuinely want to know how it compares to other platforms like Ethereum and EOS and Arc and these others. And we're always happy to answer those questions because we're really confident about Lisk. Um, And lastly, we just get people who just want some pizza and some free drinks. What about you, Carbonara? Anything interesting going on in your world? I feel like these presentations, maybe every so often we should have more of an open forum type event as opposed to just a single presenter.
Wow.
Carbonara is by far the most delicious delegate, I have to say.
Soon we'll be out of participants in those meetings. So probably we should switch the format to something else. Maybe some talks like that right now, because I know there is a crypto embassy coming, and I think Jesus, but not one else.
Um, well, I think it would be important for us to have an actual delegate meeting where the delegation, I mean, all of you that are here, um, you're excellent community members, and not to say that the others aren't, but you are the ones that I constantly see, and you guys are really doing an excellent job. But I think that we maybe could encourage to do an event where, and it'd be open to everyone, not just the delegates, but although we could also have a private event, but have a day where it's supposed to be the delegation meeting. Thank you for the question, by the way, Dav, that you actually gave me. Yeah, so we get some we get lots of we get lots of bad ideas, and then we get a few good ones. Usually people who are approaching us at the meetup with their idea, they haven't put a whole lot of thought to it yet. But occasionally we have gotten some people who, are already deep into their own project, and we allow them to present what they have at the end of our meetups. We try to make them as open as possible and very blockchain oriented. Obviously, the presentations, the focus is either blockchain information or specifically Lisk. But well, I remember. Okay. I'm very interested to see the decentralized autonomous organization with Lisk. I believe that Lisk already is a bit of a decentralized autonomous organization, um, socially, but in a more specific term, I know exactly what you mean. I'd also like to see the non-fungible token standards and those type of things, because those really make um, and yeah, that would be excellent if we could have a Lisk DAO for to organize the community. With the custom transactions, I think there's just really almost anything that you can get from that. But a few things that we want to do now, for example, with Chronicler, one thing that we wanted to do is issue a transaction to actually scrape a website. As opposed to right now, what Chronicler does is allows you to store files or various types of data um, on your own, but there's no auditing process to that. It's not autonomous. So basically, if I try to go use the archive I made to say, hey, this is the original of something, someone can say, well, I don't know if I trust that because you added it to that. But if the network did it itself, if I could issue a transaction where it, you put a link in the payload, and then it scrapes that website autonomously and out of your hands, I think people would be able to trust the authenticity of a web archive better. So that's one thing. That's one of the potentials that we see with Chronicler. In regards to our other proof of concept inviter, we kind of want to develop. If we ever decide to pick that back up, we would want to develop it into sort of a decentralized ticket master. And thank you for coming, Peter. Thanks for coming, Carbonara. Uh, in regards to comparing the custom transactions and smart contracts, I would say that basically you would probably be able to um, build small, smart contract functionality into custom transactions. Um, so I would say that they're similar. I don't have a whole lot of experience with the smart contracts themselves. So I can only really speak to the custom transactions. Um, but I would assume that they uh, and at the same end goal, basically, they can accomplish relatively the same thing eventually. Custom transactions need a little bit more work. Um, Smart contracts are obviously self-executing, but I think eventually we could have custom transactions that also uh, Davy pointed out, you don't need to pay for a custom transaction necessarily because it runs on a side chain. Smart contracts, you also just would like to point out to you that Davy is really an up and coming star in our community. He's really put a lot of work in. He won't toot his own horn, but he really has been he's really taken up the reins in a time where not a lot of people have been producing, and his motivation is is Thank you for the questions. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna go. We'll try to work on some sort of online hackathons ideas in the future. I'm gonna work with the guys from LCU. They just contacted me to tell me that. So we're definitely gonna see if we can make something interesting happen out of that. Sidechain Solutions has been saving funds for a month or a few months now. So soon enough, we will have enough funds to produce a prize. Obviously, there's got to be a prize for a hackathon bounty, right? So other than that, though, I think the online format really reduces the cost a whole lot and will allow us to increase the prize that we can give. So it may actually be a blessing in disguise. And then on top of that, in-person hackathons are great if you're in a city that has a lot of people that are technically inclined. But if you're not, then I mean, well, it's a team effort, and when you got great team members, you can really get a lot of things done. And so this is where we're at so far, and I don't intend to stop anytime soon. We're gonna continue contributing, as much as we can. And just briefly too, if I can ask you guys to spread the word about the program from HQ. They've asked that we spread the word that they're literally giving money away if you will build a proof of concept on a Lisk SDK. So please spread the word about the Lisk Builder program to any developers you know. And thank you for coming, Davy. Well, I think that's pretty much everything, guys. I'm really sorry about the technical difficulties with the presentation. Like I said, I'm in California right now, and I'm guessing that the problem is that everyone else here in the room is in Europe. But yeah, thank you all for coming, and I'll try to organize and do another one of these that without the technical difficulties in the near future, and maybe it'll be just